stream is powered by Melita, using Melita Gigapower Internet. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
For only €5 a month, experience every high-definition moment on your TV, tablet, phone or PC. Great teams, great moments, and so much more. TSN from Melita is your ticket to stay in the game. Visit melita.com/sports.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
This is so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
Wish your Wi-Fi network would just work in any room? Our new Stellar Wi-Fi is AI assisted to give you the smoothest, fastest possible Wi-Fi throughout your home. Stellar Wi-Fi assisted by AI, exclusive to Melita. Find out more in-store or online.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Midway, Misano. It's the third round of a 5-round championship. It goes by so quickly, and 2 more 15-minute races are on the cards here this evening for action, brought to you by World Pro Racing. This Assetto Corsa Competizione Sprint Series has seen a pretty dominant start to proceedings overall, but this is the mid part of the championship. This has all the makings of, if you want to gather some momentum and bring a challenge, now's the time where you have to really knock on the door and make sure something happens. My name's Jake Sperry. I'm joined alongside by one Mr. Kieran McGinley here today, bringing you coverage of this third round out of 5. And what a place to go. Misano World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli, in the name of one of the most talented up-and-coming riders who didn't get his chance when it came to MotoGP. But we're focusing on GT3 category vehicles, as Assetto Corsa Competizione tends to do here, Kieran. But you've got a track which is very stop-starty in nature.
Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome along to the stream. And yes, Misano, we head there. And yeah, it is a pretty twisty, turny circuit with a couple of straights here and there. But yeah, you've really got to try and work the car and make sure that it can go round corners as effectively as it can go down those shorter straights that we have seen other than this season. Yes, we approached the midway mark. It's nice and planted in the middle. By halfway through this race, we should really know what sort of championship outcomes we should be expecting. And, well, to be honest with you, just looking at the first few races, Redouane Messaoud, back-to-back, 94 points on the board, takes him on 188. He's leading the way by 98 points. That is a huge, massive gap to be able to close down. But there's plenty of points on offer as we head through this sprint series, as we'll cover later on today. And so there's still plenty of time. So we've still got 6 more races. It's not over till it's over.
Absolutely not, and anything can happen in those 6 races. If you haven't already, you can like, share, and subscribe to World Pro Racing for more amazing content. You can head over to the website worldproracing.com/events if you want to get yourself into the mix when it comes to sim racing. If you are brand new, if you are been around since the dawn of time when it comes to sim racing terms, there is a championship out there for you on many different platforms, not just on PC. We're streaming live today with ourselves on YouTube, Facebook Live, and on Twitch, as well as with motorsport.tv, TVM Sport, and with ESTV, the Esports Television Network. But we are not on the race here in terms of our broadcast here today. There's been a technical issue somewhere down the line. We're unable to bring you that on the race, but we are still affiliated with the race, so there'll be more races coming up in the foreseeable future over there. But there is so much to dissect, and practice is going to be still in its infancy, I think is the right way to say it. There's still time on the board for drivers to work out what they can find and what they can't find, Kieran. But the thing that I saw quite interestingly around this Marco Simoncelli circuit is the fact that I saw quite a few Ferraris on board.
Yes, and obviously when we head to an Italian track, it's normal you see lots of Ferraris heading out onto the track. I can tell you one Ferrari that's definitely out there, Jimmy Holm. He never not picks a Ferrari. He's always loyal to that Ferrari. But it will be interesting to see how many people willingly, stick to it. And there is the man himself, Jimmy Holm, as we join into free practice, just heading out of the pit lane there on towards the track. And there you can see Whitehead leading this practice session so far, and it's pretty much Ferraris all the way. 7 out of the top 9 so far in this practice session are all with the prancing horse. The unique thing about this sprint series is you don't have any sort of brand affiliation. You can pick and choose your manufacturer as you go through the series and as you see fit. If you pick a car and it doesn't quite work at the next circuit, well, you can go and change it. And you can see here, there's plenty of Ferraris on show today.
They certainly are, and it is a big change up and down the order. A lot of drivers trying to find their own form of pace. Daniel Greenshaw is in 4th position right now in practice as the next driver who is without a Ferrari. He is in the Audi here today, but there is your championship leader, Redouane Messaoud for the Ashtois team, H3, the anglicised name for it, with Luke Whitehead currently his teammate. Fastest of anybody in this practice session, which has about 10 minutes to figure itself out before we head over towards 15 minutes of qualifying. And what was key from just looking at some of the drivers here who are looking up at the sky and hoping that they were going to find maybe a little bit of something. I saw one person earlier on in the week, Kieran, who said, I want a deluge of rain. I want nothing else. This needs to be a wet race if I have any chance of moving up the field. Unfortunately, at the moment, it's not looking like it's the Prada boat in the America's Cup. It looks bone dry out there.
For the moment, yeah, but the clouds do look slightly angry out there. There's a bit of sun poking through, but you never know. We haven't had any rain in this series so far, so maybe we've just jinxed it, you and I, Jake. But yeah, fantastic circuit to be racing at. 4.7 kilometres takes us around this winding circuit, and yeah, there's plenty of corners that you have to focus on. The longest, well, I say the longest straight is probably that little bit of a straight from turn 6 up towards turn 8 in towards Ketchia. You know, it counts it as a turn 7 there. I'm not too sure on that one. However, I'm not a circuit expert. We see Covone now in towards turn 11, onwards then towards turns 12 and 13. But it's a tricky part of the circuit because just as soon as you're done with turn 12, you've got to start putting the anchors on, getting the car slowed down for 13, then slow it down even more in towards Caro here, turn 14, before you then get back on the power through turn 15. Bit of a slowing down exercise through 15, then towards the last corner in Misano, turn 16. You see the brake lights coming on there, trying to feed the car in, roll it in, and then towards that start-finish line on the exit there. Luke Whitehead taking us for a tour of that final part of the section there. 32.8 is his best lap time so far, and it's enough in this practice session to top the table. But as we've seen, drivers normally do hold back. They don't put on that qualifying setup. They don't put in that qualifying load of fuel, and they don't put on a fresh set of tyres in the practice session. That we know. So take this with a grain of salt. Drivers will be just finalising their race pace more than anything and just getting themselves back up to used to driving these cars.
Exactly. So they need to be trying to move forward with as much as they can here and just prepare themselves for qualifying. Now, practice can be used in a whole number of ways. There's Daniel Stramer in the AMG Mercedes trying to get things going in 21st position at this moment, trying to find a little bit of a something. But there are many ways that drivers can use these sorts of sessions. They can use it as qualifying help and support, try and set some fast times and see where the limits of the track are. Some even look and try and use maybe race runs and see, okay, can I put 6-7 laps together, which feel really good out there on track, and I'm comfortable with the way that the car's going to handle through all of these sorts of areas. But these drivers are also going to be looking at other things that they can maybe gain an advantage on. One of those here, Kieran, if you can keep an eye out on it, is where the overtaking zones are going to be. If you get a good run out of turn 10, you've got that run maybe into 11, and if you're brave, you've got 12 and 13 that can help you out as well. Other than that, you've got the run to 1 and the run to 8. Outside of that, there aren't really many spaces where overtakes happen here at Misano.
Yeah, turn 4, Rio, is a little bit of a stretch because of the nature of the two corners that follow it. You'll be, if you go down the inside at turn 4, for example, you've got the inside line for turn 5, but if you're still going side by side, you'll be on the outside of turn 6, and it's a long way to be on the accelerator up towards Ketchia, up at turn 8. So you've really got to think about the moves you do here. It is a twisty, winding circuit, but that does not mean it is any easier to overtake. Jumping on board then with Luke Whitehead in the Ashtois racing car, as he makes his way now onwards towards Ketchia right now in towards turn 8, and obviously taking a lot of the curb here. We've been seeing that, well, track limits here at Misano are forgiving at best.
They certainly are forgiving. There's the big wide line taken through 9 to open up as much corner as possible through the very difficult turn 10. Out of the way goes the traffic in front, and this is what the run looks like on a very, very long back straight here through this small kink of Covone here, turn number 11, before 12 and 13 here. You're on the brakes searching for third gear, fighting the prancing horse, and then more brakes down into the preliminary gear, first gear through this corner, and then you're trying to set up the run here through these final couple of turns to make sure that you've got an attacking opportunity here as you come out of this very tough 90-degree corner. You can see the back was stepping out ever so slightly through that corner, just trying to gather up as much as possible. But you see around a track like this, he actually has just found another 0.2 of a second with that sort of lap. You can see he is fighting the car quite a bit around this circuit. The back seems to be quite happy in the Ashtoire Ferrari.
And he seems quite comfortable with it being loose at the back there. So it's something that he's got used to. It's a car setup that he's really fond of as we now make our way through turn 5 and then onwards towards turn 6. You can see why it's just so a little bit difficult to try and get a move done in towards Rio there, because the nature of the two corners that follow it as we now head our way in towards turn 7 and then up towards Quercia, now in towards turn 8, braking hard, then down to first gear once again, get the exit right here as you're still turning the wheel as you're accelerating, onwards now towards turn 9 and then in towards Tramonto into turn 10. As you go through turn 9, you're having to then try and put the anchors on to get it slowed down for turn 10, using a lot of the curb on the exit there just to open up the corner, carry more speed through on the exit as we now head towards turn 11. Carbone now making our way through, picking out the spot there, pretty much full throttle through Carbone, and we make our way towards turn 12, then towards turn 13. The brake lights come on immediately after turn 12 just to try and get that car slowed down. Then we head in towards Caro, in towards 14, now onwards then towards the left-hander of 15 before we head in towards the final corner at Misano. And it'll be interesting to see if Whitehead improves on this lap time. Through the final corner we go and on towards that start-finish straight. Is this going to be an improvement here in the closing stages of practice? He crosses the line there. It is going to be an improvement, 32.6. So I'm thinking then for qualifying we should be seeing some low 32s and possibly a high 31.
Well, that's all about optimism to see whether we see that or not. But I have just noticed someone jump up into 4th position currently at the moment, and it's the first of the Bentleys here today. Littlewood up then into 4th place. Now, Kieran, what is the advantage of that Bentley compared to maybe a couple of other drivers who have picked different vehicles here today?
I mean, top speed in that thing is just really, really good. It may struggle through some of those mid-speed corners especially, but I think Littlewood is making that car work for now. He's one of the only Bentleys out there, if not the only, from what I can see in the standings. So it's sometimes good to go for a car that no one else has gone for. It doesn't necessarily mean that nobody likes the car. It's probably because nobody's found that optimum setup for the car, and so they've avoided it completely. He's gone on a limb. He's gone for the Bentley. He's the only one to do it, so if he gets a good result he can put it down to that car selection and actually feeling comfortable with the car. He clearly feels this is the best car for the job.
Absolutely, and we're going to be seeing here is Marcus Littlewood now piloting the Bentley here with a couple of nice stripes there on the side as he moves up towards the Oak Tree corner, turn 8 of Quercia. This is going to be here how Marcus Littlewood looks to try and make himself known in this sort of race. It is definitely a large car. It's definitely got an imposing figure when it goes around the circuit, does the Bentley, but we'll see how that one plays out in the long and the short. And in fact, that's an abandoned lap and back to pit Marcus Littlewood goes. But let's talk about points and how you get points in this championship here, Kieran. It's 35 points, of course, for a race win overall. Well, that gives you 35 times 2, which would have been 70 points overall if you win both races, which more often than not, Red One Messaoud has done 4 out of 4 so far this season. Then you pick up the bonus points. Now, you get 10 if you get pole position. That gives you pole position for both races. You only get 1 lot of 10 points for that. Then you've got yourself the fastest lap award, which gives you a couple of points to go with also. And then you've got to think about, okay, got the likes of most laps led. That's an extra 5 points. And then 5 points for that thing called consistency, which a lot of people who are maybe unfamiliar to Assetto Corsa Competizione won't necessarily know what that means.
No, absolutely, but you can see here that the most consistent is basically you get a little bit of a value at the end of it, a percentage of how consistent you actually were compared to your best lap time and your worst lap time and how close you kept the gap between them. So the better and more consistent you are in your lap times, the more of a chance you've got to score some points at the end of the race. And correct me if I'm wrong, you can achieve that in any position, but if you find yourself lower down the order, there may have been something that went wrong in your race, so you might not necessarily get that opportunity. And that one outlier of a lap where you might have found yourself off the track or in some sort of incident will really hurt you in terms of trying to get that most consistent amount of points. But we see here Revox currently P19 in the Lexus. I think I've seen one other Lexus, of course, Jan Nicholas Erbrich out there, but you've also got Rizzo there as well, currently P22. He's also trying out the Lexus in this session. So the three Lexuses, we never got to the bottom of plural for Lexus, but they're out there right now, but they are occupying that bottom half of the field.
They are at the moment. We do have one McLaren in the field. That is Razar, who is currently piloting around in 18th place at the moment. Well, he's in fact in the pits as the Estonian. So opportunities knocking as practice does then come to an end. It's Ferraris 1, 2, 3, and 4. Whitehead, Messaoud, Kalai Atkins, and then Mangione in fourth position then for this one in practice. But qualifying will be coming up in just a little bit here, ladies and gentlemen. And we're just seeing here at the very fringes at the end of practice. But there's been no change to the form, but the only difference is that Whitehead has been gaining form and momentum with every single race. Yes, he made that mistake round one of the championship, Kieran, but Whitehead being the top of practice, is that a message saying, I do want to fight for this championship, even though I have what could be maybe a very insurmountable gap?
Well, it's going to be tough. I mean, Messaoud in qualifying this season has been pretty good. So it's going to be tough to beat him over one lap. It's been tough to beat him over 15 minutes in these races so far. So it's going to be tough for someone else to grab the pole position. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. I mean, you've got Whitehead there. He only joined Ashtoire last week. In fact, just before the race last week went ahead, he became part of Ashtoire. So he's part of that setup now. So now it's coming to a point where he's got to try and prove himself against what is now his teammate. And I think they've made it pretty clear that they're not going to help each other once they're out on track. They'll happily help each other off it.
Yeah, and that's the key here when you've got a championship like this. There is no team's championship, so to speak, but there are drivers here who will enter a partnership and try and find as much pace as possible. One of those teams is the PC Boys team, which often seems to find a lot as we get ourselves then with drivers getting out on track. Jan Nicholas Erbrich then in Lexus will be one of the first out there on the road trying to get those times. It's a long wait for the line here to allow yourself to get going here. There's the green light at the end of pit lane, and finally you're able to be launched through the outside of turn 3 and onto the circuit. But what we definitely saw with the PC Boys is that they have a lot of drivers who want to go out there and put big points on the board here, Kieran. But the one thing that they don't have is probably their most consistent driver here this week, and that is Nathaniel Thomas, who is out with technical issues.
Yeah, and that's a shame to see. Obviously, it can affect you here when you get into the sim racing world. You can have those hardware, software issues that you won't normally get in motorsport, but they can happen. They do happen, and hopefully we will see him back at a future event. That goes as well for Nicholas Hillebrand, although his problems are internet related. He didn't want to lag all over the place and be a nuisance out there to anyone involved, so he's pulled out of this one as well. So a couple of drivers light, but drivers have come in and filled in those spots, so we should be no short of action here tonight.
Absolutely not. And well, when you talk about Nathaniel Thomas, he's actually third in the championship right now on 58 points with that level of consistency. So there are some drivers out there who are definitely searching for points and wanting to put themselves in a position where they can make things happen. Here is Daniel Guinchard as part of the PC Boys team, trying to just work out where to find all those results out there on this qualifying. Looked really good in practice, actually, in the Audi, and it's one of only a handful of drivers who have gone for the Audi, and it's those maybe who are hoping for mid-pack success and higher who have gone into that Audi. You've got Guinchard, you've got Vela, who has been the epitome of unluckiness. You've got Patel, Yasuinas, and also Johnston out there who could maybe put up a surprise. But the first laps are starting to come in on the board the next time they cross round. Here's someone who's out of the championship picture who was expected to fight well in this one. Didn't have a good Kyalami, Jack Noller.
Yeah, Jack Noller down in 7th place, but that doesn't mean he doesn't still have a chance to get to that prize pool, of course. Top 3 awarded at the prizes, so there's still a chance for him to be in contention with the top 3. But as you say, Redwan Messaoud, in the form he's in, he looks unstoppable, but we'll have to wait and see if someone can stop him here tonight. We've also got, of course, Gianluca Maggione, who is out there now. He's also chosen that number 7 Ferrari. Now, he is currently 4th place in the championship, but he's 4th place after no points scored at the last round. So he really didn't have a good one last time out at Kailami. He'll be looking to try and press on and try and change that, because he got a good 55 points when we went to the opening round.
Yeah, and those 55 points put him 2nd in the championship overall with that run after the opening week. And then Kailami just seemed to be a bogey track for him. Got no points, finished outside of the top 15 without really too many incidents on the road. So it didn't quite pay off. Now here's Luke Whitehead searching for first representative lap time on the board. Johnston goes quickest for the moment, but there goes Whitehead with a 32.9 to put the car up on pole position. A good sighter lap then from Luke Whitehead, but if you look at the track and air temperature conditions, it's only 26 degrees out there on track, so it may just take here a couple of laps to try and push things forward. Mikael Parry then not getting a lap in, a 37.4 actually that time, to get things going. And now you got the Onyx team there of Kalai Atkins trying to find as much as possible. Currently in the 14th position in the Ferrari, was up there P3 when it came to practice. Messaoud in 2nd at the moment, Johnston in 3rd, and Kalai Atkins splits the Ashtois drivers, goes into 2nd.
Yeah, nice lap from him. He'll be wanting more, of course, as we creep ever closer to those 32s, and possibly even a low 32 would be your pole position lap time here, because, of course, as we progress through this session, as more rubber gets laid down, then the track gets even better out there. Even though it says optimum at the moment, there's always a tenth of a second out there towards the closing stages of qualifying. But at the moment, Whitehead is on provisional pole position, Atkins in 2nd, Messaoud in 3rd, Johnston in 4th, Jan-Niklas Erbeck rounding out the top 5. We are expecting some more lap times on the board. There is Daniel Grinchard currently in 9th place. There's your provisional pole position sitter right now in Luke Whitehead, who now makes his way around the final corner onwards towards that start finish line. Is this going to be an improvement, or was this a lap in between? We're about to find out. It definitely wasn't a lap in between. He's gone quicker. 32.673 extends his advantage at the top.
3 more tenths of a second. It now gives him a 6/10 buffer when it comes to qualifying at the moment, which is a staggering margin if ever we saw one. There is Kalai Atkins trying to find that pace, and in the number 41 Ferrari is hoping that there is going to be something. But peppering around the top 10, as that's Romanek moving up then into 3rd position in the Ferrari. Ferrari's now 1, 2, 3 and 4. Mangione jumps up into 2nd position, so that's a good qualifying time from Gianluca. But there's Kalai Atkins back to 2nd then on a 33 flat. Yes, he's still 4/10 of a second down on pole position, but there's not much that you can do. Here is Max Waffel then, who is 2nd in terms of the AMG Mercedes out there at the moment, but looking to try and break that level in the Cruising Missiles car. Does jump up 1 place to 8th on a 33.9, but it's Ferraris 1 through 5 at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. They're showing complete dominance out there. Of course, no affiliation with their brand. They're allowed to choose whichever car they want, and the top 5 have gone for that Ferrari, and it's rewarded them with a place in the top 5. Here's Alex Johnston, and as he now makes his way on towards the next couple of corners, in through Misano, then on towards the final corner, and then onwards to the start finish straight. Is this going to be an improvement for the man in the Omega E Racing Audi? It is. It now puts himself into the top 5 with a 33.5.
Yeah, good work from Alex Johnston then. He finds himself a good time. And Redwan Messaoud, who had been knocked down to 6th place, jumps up to 2nd with a 32.7. That definitely works. Now here is Malcharek making progress, currently in the last points paying position here, but that's a great time from the Ferrari driver, up 7 places, up to 8th overall, so that is a really, really good time then, as Jimmy Holm, currently the Finn, is down there in 12th position at this moment in time, and there should be more on the horizon, hopefully, to find for 777, as that curb definitely did attack him through turn 13. That may have cost him a little tenth of a second to try and pick everything up. But this is a really, really entertaining qualifying session right now, because it's seeming like everyone is finding a little bit of time here or there, because you've got drivers like Jack Noller and Sheldon Muscat down 13th and 14th on row 7.
Yeah, here comes Jimmy Holm across the line then and goes up to P9. 33.8 his last lap time gets him now onto the 5th row of the grid. There is Jack Noller, currently down in 14th place at the moment. He's making his way onto the back end of the circuit as we head our way now through turn 13 and then towards Garrow in turn 14. So he's within the point scoring positions when we head to the race, of course. Pole position worth 10 points, no other position in qualifying worth any points whatsoever. Jack Noller now makes his way in towards Misano, the final corner, braking now to try and get that car slowed down, find the apex, put the power on, use that curb if you need to open up the exit of the corner. And Jack Noller comes across the line, now goes 10th fastest with a 33.8.
Still, though, over a second off the pace of Luke Whitehead here. This is Rainer Rossar here in the sole McLaren, trying to find a little bit of time out there. Going through the Misano corner, turn 16, which leads onto the front straight. And it's a short run here to the start-finish line as he crosses the line with a 35.2. He does improve on time, but not position. Remains in that 17th place with the top 4 at the moment. Whitehead, Messaoud, Atkins and Mangione, with Greenshaw in 5th position. What's key is that Luke Whitehead here is the fastest in the 2nd and the 3rd sectors and is clear by almost a whole tenth of a second. What's key is it's those top 4 who are within half a second. Everybody else back is at 7/10 or more in a little bit of trouble, as Jimmy Holm has just made it 5 Ferraris at the top there. That's a great time.
That is a great time from Jimmy Holm. He's found some pace out there at long last in this session. He's confident in the car, 33.3. I think there's even more time to find for Jimmy Holm. He's been holding back, hasn't he, as we now make our way in towards Rio, then on through turn 4, then through turn 5. So he's now on it, trying to get a good lap time on the board. And Jimmy Holm right now 13th in the championship right now, with 9 points scored at the first round, 12 points scored at the second. He'll be hoping for even more of a point haul going into this one. There's Mikel Parry for Team Cruising Missiles in that Mercedes, the number 77, now making his way in through Rio. Currently 19th fastest. He'll be looking for a bit more time out there at the moment, but he now makes his way all the way through turn 6 and on towards the back straight towards Kercha. This is in towards Misano. I'm lost out there already. Here he comes then towards the line. Parry, can he improve on this lap time then? Currently in P19. Where will he go? He'll go up a place with a 35.3 up to P18.
Yep, one more position. Every position matters. There is Andrea Rizzo then in the Lexus, trying to find a bit of time. He's currently in 20th place right now, and that's now down to 21st, because that is Marcus Littlewood moving up to the 7th row at this moment in time. So the time is certainly there on the board, but Andrea Rizzo down in 21st. It's always very tough when you're down low in these sorts of qualifying sessions. You're always trying to find that time again and move up a couple places, but through the next right goes Rizzo, and this is where you just need all that commitment here on the brakes. You leave it late, a little bit of opposite lock then, trying to keep the car on the straight and narrow, and right down then in through the turn, just maybe struggling a little bit there with understeer through that corner. It's very, very tough, this track, especially when you have to turn and brake at the same time, giving everything through that penultimate corner and on for the line. We're down to the final 3 minutes and 45 seconds to go. And, well, Rizzo coming to the line does gain a place. Revox then finding himself on the wrong side of the times at the moment. He was up in 15th. He's now down to 21st. There is your pole sitter at the moment, though, Luke Whitehead.
Yeah, 32.6 is enough so far for provisional pole position with only a handful of minutes to go. But Messaoud will be breathing down his neck, as well as Carly Atkins in the number 41 car. He'll be looking to try and make some more positions as well. He's shown some real pace at Kailami as well, getting his first podium of the series. We've got the McLaren of Rissar off the track then as we make our way through with Luke Whitehead. Is this going to be improvement? Yes, it is. We're down into the low 32s. 32.490 from Luke Whitehead. Ever extends his advantage at the top of this table.
And that McLaren would have been a distraction as well, and that wouldn't have been ideal. Now, Sheldon Muscat here in 15th position will be hoping that there is certainly more out of the Mercedes here to try and get a time on the board. The highest placed Mercedes right now is his teammate in 10th place, Jack Noller. That would not have been the plan here with this sort of strategy, and it seems like the the GT Omega drivers here, I should say, are all in a little bit of trouble at this stage, seeing they are outside of the top 10 bar one. But we'll see how this goes through the final corner. Is there something to come up then for Sheldon Muscat at this stage? Well, it's only one position here. 33.9 is good enough for 14th place at the moment in qualifying. Someone who's having a really good qualifying, firstly, is Malsharek, who is in 9th place overall right now, and also Hölzel, who is in 13th.
Yeah, Hölzel is up there in the number 100 Mercedes, currently within those point-scoring positions. And, of course, this qualifying session decides both of your grid starts in these races. So it's really important to get a good lap time on the board. Malsharek across the line, and the Rinaldi Racing Ferrari goes now into 6th fastest, 33.3. Now puts him onto the 3rd row of this grid.
Well, to say this is a Ferrari track does this an understatement. All of the Ferraris are 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th in this field. So the Ferraris are absolutely flying at this moment, and Christian Malsharek has just proven that. Kalai Atkins then wanting to try and get himself into the mix and find a little bit more to challenge Redwan Messaoud. He has improved to a 32.9, but he needs to get to a 0.7 to move past Redwan, who is in 2nd position. Ashtois 1-2 once again, just like last week, except it's role reversal with Whitehead, the faster of the two drivers right now. On the brakes they go, into the left-hander there at the Oak Tree corner, Quercia, and now the run to Tremonto comes up next. But this is where you start getting a little bit of traffic there. I believe that's Parry moving out of the way then, who is in 20th position right now. But 40 seconds to go. Kalai Atkins, I think, is racing against putting one more lap on the board.
I think he is. He's racing towards the line now as he makes his way onwards towards Carbone into turn 11. Full throttle through here. Take the curve on the inside to shorten that corner and reduce the amount of input you put in the steering, therefore reducing that friction that you lose steering for the corner. You can see using plenty of curb on the left-hand side on the exit of 13 just to try and carry a bit more speed through Caro. Now in towards turn 15, again using plenty of that curb there as we now make our way on towards the final corner in through Misano. Is this going to be an improvement for Kalai Atkins? He makes his way on towards that start-finish line. Checkered flag is now out. Is this going to be an improvement? He does improve on his lap time, but not on his position. Remains in 3rd place and on the 2nd row of the grid. So the question now is, Mangione is out there on a lap time. Whitehead and Messaoud out there too.
3/10 of a second for Gianluca to find, and is absolutely wringing the neck out of the number 7 Ferrari going through into Caddo corner here, turn number 14, and Nanti cut deterrence there and has to dive into the pits. That lap time was not good enough to go out there and improve, and there is the pit speed limit here today, 50 k's an hour, and I'm sure a lot of drivers do not want to be running at that sort of speed. The top 6 are all Ferraris, but someone who can maybe upset the party is Alex Johnston right now. He's on a 33.5, and to just put into perspective, a 33.3 is good enough maybe for 4th place. It's mighty close in the middle, but the session has come to a close, and it does mean that Ferraris populate the top 6 positions here in qualifying. To say that Ferrari were going to be the car here that drivers were looking at here today, Kieran, this goes as an understatement. I wasn't expecting top 6 all Ferraris.
I mean, we haven't seen sort of top 6 from a manufacturer in a long, long time here in the Sprint Series. Normally, there's a bit of give and take between 2 or 3 manufacturers, but no, Ferrari look like they're on top here. Anyone that's picked a Ferrari is looking pretty good indeed. And that's Luke Whitehead. That's his first pole position of the season. He's already now got 10 points to his tally, and he will start from pole position for both of the sprint races. How critical qualifying will be. But he's going to have Redwan Messaoud breathing down his neck, down in towards turn 1 there, but also he's also got Carly Evans, and we already saw how quick he's been so far this time out. Sorry, Carly Atkins. He's been quick last time out at Kyalami. He showed his pace there, had a bit of a rough race 1, but he's here now, and he's certainly got some pace about him.
He certainly does, and this is one of the keys here with this sort of series, is that different drivers at different times always seem to have an ability to crop up here and there. Mangione is back in power and progress. 4th place in qualifying was really good, but then you've got the likes of Mauscharek and Holm, who are drivers who have been peppering around the top 10 and the top 15 in those opening couple of races of the season, and all of a sudden the Ferrari and Misano, it's just clicked to them.
I mean, take Jimmy Holm, for example. He's got 21 points so far. He has a good chance of doubling that alone if he gets himself onto the podium. So this is a real chance for both of them to try and get themselves up this order. They've got 2 races to do it in. Plenty of chance for both of them to score some real points for themselves.
And of course, we've also got to talk about the way that these drivers start. It will be a rolling start here today, but turns 1, 2, and 3 on a rolling start have the ability to make 2 wide, a tradition around this place through the opening little sector. It's almost like an arena section through the Variante del Parco and into the Curva de Rio as you go from 1 all the way to 6. It's only really once you get to 7 and 8 that you really start getting that feeding out process here, Kieran.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be a little bit tight, a little bit difficult through there. Door to door is going to be a bit of an understatement, as you've already mentioned. So keeping it clean through turns 1, 2, and 3 is going to be important. Focus on getting yourself through that early stage, especially then in towards the Curva Rio. Getting yourself through and then on towards turn 7, then you'll find that the pack starts to space out ever so slightly with all the battling ahead. That's your chance then to get the hammer down and gain some positions.
And positions are going to be incredibly important with the way that this championship has seemingly gone on, because if you want to try and get some laps led, you don't have long to make positions and make moves and gain places through the field. This is only a 15-minute race. Essentially, here at Misano, it's effectively an espresso of a race because you've got not much that you really have to deal with, but you have all the substance that's crammed into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? We're getting just over 90 seconds, maybe 92, 93 seconds in qualifying. Well, you put a little bit of race load on there, a little bit of tyre wear as well. It's going to be slightly off that pace, maybe half a second to a second off just on the start alone. But yeah, I think it's going to be not many laps around here in both races. We're looking maybe at 7, at a push 8. But 8 is going to be pretty difficult with the timer against you that whole time. But we'll wait and see. Laps led, obviously, there's not many of them. If you want to lead the race, this is Luke Whitehead's best chance of getting some real points on the board. If he can beat Red One Messaoud at this one, it might give him a little bit of a leeway, a bit of a head start as we make our way into the closing stages when we head to Zolder next week. And then, of course, Spa the week after. It's a very short season, but 2 races per night. Still plenty of points on the board. So this needs to be a really good performance from Whitehead. He needs to do everything now.
Absolutely. And when you're already down 98 points, now 88 because of qualifying here, Kieran, now you start wondering here whether you could say old Mo starts changing here and that momentum starts going the other way. And it's always about confidence. If you're not there in a race or you're second and your main rival's finding victories, it's very easy to get bogged down and frustrated with yourself and your performance. But the big key here is how much of a buffer was actually gained by those points that were lost at the second round of the championship at Imola. Whitehead has a big task to try and claw that back. 88 points in any championship, doesn't matter how many points you put on the table, is still a big margin.
It is, but if Whitehead can keep his head down, don't let the points bother him at this moment in time. He's got a really good chance of scoring some major points and get himself a route into getting that deficit down. Yeah. But we're rolling here.
We certainly are, and you can see the 2 silver Ashtois Ferraris then on the front of the field. You've got Kalai Atkins there in the red, in the purple there is Mangione, and then you've got Holman Mauscharek then all together at this stage in the greens, trying to get through. Watch out for them, looking to try and make some attacks then. It's 15 minutes, and it starts now, round 5 of your Assetto Corsa Competizione World Pro Racing Sprint Championship. The run towards turn number 1 there. Messaoud on the outside then runs wide and will have to take to the escape road then through turn 2 and go very careful because that's going to allow Kalai Atkins down the inside and pick up the place. So they've already got one. Whitehead's got daylight here, and look at the start. there as Mangione is under pressure. I think that's Holm who maybe is through, or maybe even Malshrek, who's had a really good start there and trying to make up some places. There is Malshrek. He's not had the good start even. He's dropped all the way back now here into 7th as wide. Goes Johnston there in the Audi back onto track as they fight their way up to Quercia.
Yeah, and we're just about making our way through. Pretty clean start as Mangione tries to defend hard from Green Shah, and we're seeing something in the background. It's Littlewood who finds himself off the track. So too does the Audi. I think that might be Patel in the background, finds himself off as well. But at the moment then, Red One Messiah, well, he seemed to just miss that braking point in towards turn 1. It cost him time. He had to take a really, really bad line going through into turn 2. Of course, he was off track at the time. Carly Atkins said, "Thank you very much. I'll take 2nd place from you." That's the sort of mistake you don't expect from Red One Messiah, who's been such in control.
Yep, and there's Guinchard under pressure there. The lights flashing there as the Ferrari of Mangione tries to force the mistake. Wide you go, and you've just sacrificed the entire track then at the right-hand corner there of Caro, and that's a little bit too aggressive there through the corner. You can see just how much track they're using as Dean Vella has eyes on points in front of him here, as I believe that's Herzl then who is trying to get himself through, as Parry looks to try and get by Rassar for 19th and 20th position then here right down near the back of the field. But look at this from Gianluca Mangione. He's back through, making it 5 Ferraris here that lead this race out right. But look at Greenshard trying to come back down the inside, always going to end in tears, and that's going to allow Romanek then the chance to dive around the outside to try and make that position. He's not got it, and all of a sudden you've got Muscat and Nola. They're all searching, and you've got in the mix of that as well Malshrek trying to find a way through. This is getting a little bit dicey. They're 2 wide, 3 deep. It's Noah's Ark racing, and Mangione gets turned.
Yeah, twice in the matter of fire. He falls all the way down the order, now all the way down into 13th. He's going to have to put a lot of work in now. That's Muscat then, who's having to defend hard. Romanek on the outside. He's also under pressure from Malsharek too. But Muscat, who didn't have the best qualifying in the world, has now find himself into 6th place. Jack Noller taking advantage, as we've got 3 wide, as you said, going behind us. Jan-Nicholas Erbrick involved. There's also Daniel Stromer trying to take advantage of a situation. But still, we got a car off in the background there. Didn't quite catch who that was.
It was right near the back, and it looks like it's Littlewood who has got okay with it. It might be his teammate who's in a bit of trouble there in 23rd. It is Max Vaffel, sorry, no, not his teammate, Max Vaffel, and that's a hefty hit. You can see the bonnets popped up then on the AMG Mercedes, and that will surely have to be either a Peter around the track for the final 12 minutes of this race, or a case of sit and wait. There is Vishal Patel in 14th. Now got himself into a position where he's got 2 championship points on the board. But if this tells you anything, it means that consistency value that we're seeing in this race is going to be going to those drivers who are more towards the front of the field. There is Luke Whitehead in control, and Kalai Atkins under pressure now for 2nd place. Red One is head down and try and get that place back.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit of damage limitation. It was not the start he wanted at all. So now he wants to try and get this 2nd place back off of Atkins. He's had a good run actually going through turn 6. Right on the back now is Messaoud on the back of Atkins, looking for a move now in towards Quercia. Not quite on there as we make our way through in towards turn 8, but still Atkins on the run. Then Romanek is under pressure then from Malsharek as we now make our way in towards Quercia. You've got also Johnston behind wanting to take advantage as they make their way through. Muscat trying to get away, and that is Johnston making a move then. He's now up into 8th place. Nice move from the Audi driver, now moving himself up a position, and you can see that's a whole lot of Mercedes right on the back of Romanek there. I think that's Jack Noller trying to just intimidate that Ferrari.
Absolutely it is, and now you're starting to see here how positions can easily change. Romanek here, the Polish driver, has dropped 2 positions then with that run, and will need to try and find them back again as soon as possible. Johnston now here just about holding that one nicely then through the Caddo corner, turn 14, and Patel holding back Herzl, Revox and Vella here, trying to get 2 points on the board. And every place matters in this sort of championship, especially with how very much I'm sure these drivers will be thinking about, okay, we're still in range, we're still in a huge draft train where we can all pick up points and pick up places. Here comes Revox here. He's lost the place out to Dean Vella, but there is still time, and Hosel runs wide there through turn number 1. In fact, takes to the escape road there at turn 2, and that just might be a freebie. Now here's Romanek under pressure. Down the inside tries Jack Noller here in the AMG Mercedes. It's got the narrow line on the inside, takes a lot of curb there going through, but then the next left comes up, and Romanek's got the place, and both of them taking track limits to a whole new level.
Yeah, Romanek running wide, and Jack Noller having to run even wider than that as he's looking for a move now round the outside in towards Quercia, and you can see there Romanek trying to hang on to that position of 9th place, and Jack Noller's not going to make it easy. Got to be careful as well, because that's Jan-Nicolas Obrich. Right behind. He's in the only Lexus out there, so he's looking to try and get the best position possible. He's one of the only loyal Lexus drivers left now. He's been in a Lexus all 3 races, I do believe, so he's really loyal to that brand. In fact, no, last time out he did change, wasn't it? It was the big story. He had to change manufacturer because he didn't think he was going to perform in the Lexus. He's back with them now, currently in 11th place, putting the 2 ahead under a lot of pressure. There is Carly Atkins now, still under pressure from Messiaud. The battle for 2nd place as Luke Whitehead keeps his head down, extends that advantage, and we're just, 8.5 minutes to go. There's still a long, long way to go in terms of sprint racing.
Oh, it certainly is. We're almost at the halfway stage now. Redouane Messaoud is starting to force those micro inside, but Kalai here, I think, is going to abandon all thoughts of race victory. Whitehead is gone like the wind. But at this stage, you could say that Redouane Messaoud wants damage and limitation, and Atkins here has got to try and force a lane. It's to the inside that goes Messaoud. You can run the outside line if you're brave, but Atkins has not firm seize over this race at this stage.
Yeah, Messaoud now firmly back to the square he started from. He's got to try and close in on Whitehead, or will he try? Yeah, this is the battle now for 11th place as we now make our way on towards Carbol over the back of that Lexus as we now make our way in towards 12 through 13 and then finally into the braking zone for Caro there, and Urbrick then just trying to hold off that Mercedes behind. Stramer trying to find some sort of line as a little bit of an intimidation. Mangione there trying to take advantage. He's gone straight up the inside, going through turn 15. He's got the position there, and Stramer, with all his battling, with all his intimidation on the car ahead, Mangione has picked up on a mistake, picks up a position as well.
That's why patience is very much needed in 15 minutes, because you can go from being attacked or go from attacking, I should say, to being attacked, and that's where it all went wrong for Daniel Stramer. He's now back in the unluckiest 13th position at this moment in time. Mangione currently in 12th place, maybe with a little bit of damage to try and negotiate his way around at this stage. But Dean Vella here, he's also got a recovering driver. This is Littlewood looking for the inside. Look at that Bentley roar trying to get to the inside. Doesn't work this time, but they've still got that run up to Quetcha corner, turn number 8. Angles for that inside line all over the curb, and this is going to be about attacking here on the brakes. That Bentley's very tough to slow down, and I'm sure that little Audi was having absolutely none of that, because if those two go hip to hip, I'm pretty sure it's the Bentley that comes out best 9 times out of 10.
It just looks like it will come out best 9 times out of 10, doesn't it? It's a very, very huge car in terms of how much of a presence it is out on track. You're not going to miss it. Herzl as well, trying to put pressure on Patel. That's the battle for 14th place. Dean Vella looking to try and make it up again. Muscat, though, up into 6th place. Meanwhile, that is Patel, and Herzl trying to battle it out then in towards the braking zone there. Or that's Patel getting a little bit hairy then on the exit of 13 in towards 14, and that now is Herzl, who will move up into P14. Just a little bit of a mistake there from Patel. He's now dropped a position, still hanging on to that last points paying position.
Back end steps out in the Audi, does very well to gather it back up again, but that is one of the traits that Audi has. When the rear tyres, you use a lot of them, the back tends to step out a lot more, and now Vishal Patel is fighting for his championship point against a very hard charging Marcus Littlewood, trying to get something out of this race through turn 3 at the Variante del Parco, and now towards the Curva del Rio here at turn number 4. It is not quite there just yet for that Bentley, but there is still time on the horizon to get things going. We're into the final 5 minutes then of this race. It's Whitehead, Messaoud, Atkins, Holm and Guinchard, your top 5 at the moment, but here comes the look to the outside. Goes the Bentley this time, trying to pick it up, but this looks like you're going to have to stay out there and put the power down earlier. Manages it, but look at this. He's trying to pass in the grass like Ryan Hunter-Ray. He gets the line. That's always very difficult, and around there goes Herzl as well at turn 2 after maybe some contact with Littlewood that we didn't see on the cameras. So that is not ideal. They all promote up. Patel remains on the outside looking in. Now here is the Slovakian then of Christian Mauszerek who is in 7th place. He's still got eyes on 6th in front in the form of Sheldon Muscat, but behind as well is Johnston there, Alex Johnston, who will be definitely wanting to try and put that E-Omega team up there inside that top 7, maybe even top 6. But now it's about how you attack here, and that Ferrari has got to try and make sure it's doing something against the AMG Mercedes.
Yeah, and Muscat here has driven a good race so far. He didn't have the best qualifying in the world, and he's now moved himself up into 6th place, trying to hold on to it now, as he's got Malshrek all over the back of him as we now make our way once again in towards the braking zones through 12, 13, and then in towards Carro there. You can see a little bit of curb on the left-hand side to try and open up this corner just a little bit, try and carry more speed through. Now we make our way towards turn 15. You can see here Malshrek all over the back of Muscat as we make our way in towards Misano, the final corner, riding on board with the Rinaldi Racing Ferrari, who gets the better exit out of the final corner on towards the start-finish straight, and then on towards Variante del Parco, getting right up close personal with the wall there, because the wall then recedes and gives you all that lovely curb on the left-hand side to use through turn 2 and then onwards towards turn 3. Long right-hander here before you get your way in towards Curva del Rio. As you can see there, not quite a move yet for Malshrek, and what Muscat does best, he knows how to defend.
He certainly does, and you're seeing it right now. He's using all of the road. Mangione is now down into the pit, so something's happened to him, and that is a shame because it'll be no points again for Gianluca Mangione, and that will be a real shame as he'll have maybe one more chance to pick up those points, but at this moment, it's just not happening. Lady Luck not on Gianluca's side. Muscat still under pressure here. The lights on in terms of in-sim time is 20 to 6, so it's getting a little bit darker around this place. So a couple drivers trying to put the lights on, trying to work out what they can do and what they can find, and that is Cornelius Eusebius and also Rainer Razar in a bit of trouble then, as they have a huge accident coming out of turn 6.
Yeah, not quite sure what caused that one, but the two of them will be going back under racing once again. Max Vaffel did very well to avoid the two cars in the middle of the track there, so he did well to get through it, but the two of them now will, of course, be trying to race on and try and get that position back, so we'll have to wait and see. We now head into the final minute of this race.
Final minute, final lap as well for Luke Whitehead, who has control. 5th position on backwards from Greenshaw. Definitely not secure. Look what is secure, though, at this moment. The way that Luke Whitehead is driving this race. A 1:33 dead that last time by. You can see that gap at the moment here is huge. 5.7 seconds over Redouane Messaoud at this stage. Kalai Atkins hasn't fallen off of this one, but the pack just gets ever hungrier here behind as they fight it out. 5th all the way to 9th place here. So Greenshaw, Muscat, Malshrek, Johnston and Romanek all in that battle. 5 different drivers from 5 different countries, all hoping that they can get themselves the most amount of points, or the most reputable amount of points. There's the mistake from Muscat. That allows once more the Ferrari to go on the attack, and Malshrek will think about the inside at 10. He hasn't got the pivot angle for it, but if he can attack off the exit, he's got himself a chance at 14 if the door is so much as open. It's still on 10th and 11th as well with Nolla and Erbrick, but Luke Whitehead will be heading through the final couple of corners shortly towards his victory, as Malshrek then still holding it off. Round and around you go. Goes Johnston, just about avoided by Romanek, but Whitehead will be coming to the line very, very shortly to pick up his result, and he does cross the line and take the victory with a commanding result overall. It will be 2nd for Messaoud and 3rd for Kalai Atkins, but Romanek will be jumping up then into the 8th position, with Jack Nolla then finding himself in what is 10th overall. There is your winner, Luke Whitehead, with a dominant display. Nobody could touch him on a month of Sundays.
No, absolutely not. And 5.4 seconds as well. He'll be absolutely thrilled with that one. His first race win of the Sprint Series. Of course, we've got another race coming, so there's another chance to get another win notched onto the board. But Messaoud, after his not-so-great start at the beginning of that race, did recover well to 2nd place, held off Kalai Atkins for 3rd place. Jimmy Holm up to 4th place. That's his best finish of the series so far, with Green Charlotte in 5th place, Muscat in 6th, Malshrek in 7th, Romanek 8th, Johnston in 9th, Jack Nolla in 10th, Erbrick in 11th, Littlewood in 12th, Vela 13th, Vishal Patel in 14th, and Revox rounding off the top 15. Of course, there, Luke Whitehead leading the most laps, so we know he gets an extra 5 points for that one. In terms of most consistent, well, that's for the mathematicians to work out. They get the data at the end of the race, and then they'll award the points that way. But not a bad race one for Luke Whitehead here at Misano. We've got race 2 and race 6 of the series coming up shortly.
We certainly do, as we take a little look then at these drivers then just bringing themselves back home then with their cool down laps to try and make sure they can get themselves all nicely worked on. But once more, for the third time this season, it is an Ashtoire 1-2 finish here, and it is this time Luke Whitehead now who gets to put some points down on the board. And it's important how many points he puts down on the board, because I believe he takes fastest lap, so he'll get a couple of points for that. He'll take most laps led on top of that as well, which will be another 5 points, so I'm sure that he will get on top of the 35 he picks up for the win. So you're talking about now margins here, Kieran, where we are now starting to say, okay, this gap is getting a lot closer and a lot closer. Not enough to say that this is truly on right now, but it's probably going to be reliant on another big mistake. Fortunately enough, though, for Edouard Messaoud, that mistake that he made earlier on here wasn't punished enough.
No, it wasn't. And Karlai Atkins couldn't quite hold back Messaoud down the straight towards Kedachia. So I think he'll be a mighty relieved man. He's recovered there to second place. He may not have got the massive points he normally gets after a race that he's so used to up at this point, but I think he'll be happy enough to recover to second place. He's got race 2 now on his mind, and there's only one thing on his mind. That'll be to take his 5th win of the series. He's got Luke Whitehead, though, who's shown he was extending that gap time and time again, lap after lap, little bit by little bit. So it's going to be tough to beat Whitehead here. He's in good form right now.
It is worth noting that in this championship so far, when it's come to these dual races, no driver has been able to win when they haven't won the opening race of the night. It's always been doubles, and they've all been Redouane Messaoud. Question is, will Luke Whitehead go down a similar path? But you also have to look at those drivers who are fighting it out for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. It was a very crazy start to this race, but they all dropped back and fell into their own pack of racing. So is this going to be a case of most positions forward off the start and maybe try and work something out?
Yeah, I think the drivers learn from race 1 into race 2. They will learn whether they were a little bit too cautious, maybe a little bit too aggressive. They'll hone that now. They'll try and fine tweak it for race 2. So it's either going to go one or two ways. Either you're going to see drivers back off going into turn 1. We might see Messaoud break a little bit earlier into turn 1 this time around. You might see drivers further behind wanting to take advantage of drivers that slow down. So race 2 can just be as eventful as race number 1, because it's going to change a mindset of the couple of the drivers that either took it too easy or took it too hard.
You can get social with us here, ladies and gentlemen, with World Pro Racing. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us, of course, on so many other platforms as well. And make sure that you get yourself in. Like, share, and subscribe if you have not already. But there is so much more coming up on the horizon from everyone who has been working behind the scenes and more. Of course, we've got one more race coming up here, round 6 of the championship. But let's talk the end of the season, because we are at the halfway stage, believe it or not, right now here, Kieran. And we've got one more race here at Misano. Then we've got 2 races here at Zolder. And then we've got 2 more at Spa-Francorchamps. We'll talk a little bit after the break here, ladies and gentlemen, about this one. But round 6 is coming up. And can Luke Whitehead just dig in more ground to his championship-leading reigning champion teammate?
This stream is powered by Melita, using Melita Gigapower Internet.
5 up, 5 more to go. And this is going to be very crucial, this 6th round of the championship coming in. My name's Jake Sperry, joined alongside by Kieran McGinley here with World Pro Racing, wherever you may be watching right now. And of course, with all of the amazing partners you can see up on screen. Got one more round of Misano. We've got 2 rounds coming up at Zolder next week. And in 2 weeks' time, 2 rounds to finish off the season at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Can this form, this small change that we've seen here at Misano, now snowball here, Kieran, into maybe a really close dogfight for this championship?
Well, it's fair to say that the cards are heavily stacked in Mesaoud's favour. He had pretty much 2 faultless runs going into the first 2 races, and of course that equals the first 4 races, if you like to put it that way. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge for Luke Whitehead, but we're rolling here to start race 2.
We certainly are, and this is going to be an important race 2 of the night as well. Whitehead will have the inside going to turn number 1. On the outside is Redouane Mesaoud. Atkins, Mangione, who didn't have the best run, he retired from the race earlier on. But there's the green, and there's the go. It's 10 past 6 in sim time. The lights will be coming on as they go through. What a start Whitehead's had, and that's Kalai Atkins then down the inside and picking up places. And now look at how they bottleneck here, and it's contact. Round goes the 777 car, then in trouble. That's Jimmy Holm who's run into troubles there. Romanek trying on the outside. Somehow skating through all of that is Redouane Mesaoud, who was the bottleneck for all of that, as Mangione just about holds off then as they go into Rio turn 4. All of the drama behind. Mauserek struggling already here as the 249 of Johnston wants to get into the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. Bit of a messy start there. Jimmy Holm being caught up. Oh, we got Rassar now, who's found himself around in the sole McLaren out there in towards the gravel. Seemed like he dropped that on his own. He did have a good start, a relatively good start up the field, but with that mistake, it's going to put him all the way down the order. Once again, Mesaoud struggling as we head down in towards turn 1. I don't know whether it's the side he starts on, which is the dirtier side of the track, but anyway, he's not got the great start again. Ginchard now up into 4th place in the PC Boys Audi as he now moves up into 5th, and drama in the background.
Yeah, that looks like it's Romanek who's gone around there in the background, and Mauserek will join in as well. So both of them dropping down the times as they now find themselves in a bit of trouble. This is promoted Patel up to 10th, Hosel into 11th, and Revox into 12th. This is Jack Noller in 8th place, and that's Mangione in the grass there through turn 13 on the inside of 14. And that's a very awkward place to go and try and recover that. I think he's waiting for everyone to get going. So, Whitehead leads, Atkins 2nd, it's Mesaoud in 3rd once again, but it's now Guinchard in 4th, and Johnston now rounds out the top 5 after the opening lap's worth of racing.
Yeah, I tell you what, keeping your nose clean has done them wonders, especially for Ginchard, for Johnston, for Vaffel, for Jack Noller as well, who finds himself now into 7th place. And Vishal Patel now running inside of the top 10. A great start then for Patel, as we see there Jack Noller trying to hold off Muscat behind. We know Muscat is really good at defending. We know as well he can sense an opportunity. He'll try to get a good exit out of these couple of corners, see where he can go as we now make our way on towards Kerchia for the another time in this race. But Jack Noller just doing enough now to stay ahead of Sheldon Muscat. But another good start from Whitehead, another start from Kalai Atkins, and it's the same 1-2 that we had at the end of lap number 1, but it was not the 1-2 we had at the end of the race.
No, but the difference here is 1.8 seconds. Redouane Mesaoud finds himself behind as Littlewood now trying to defend against Mikael Parry. In fact, that's going to be a move then down the inside and a position gained then to go through. Sorry, Parry's really dropped down the timing stands then. That was actually a move, I believe, on Daniel Stramer to maintain 13th place. So that's the changes. Jimmy Holmes back through in 15th, and a drive-through penalty comes in for one Mr. Patel then, and that would be for causing an incident with Jan Nicholas Erbrich early on, who is in 16th position. So Patel, Vishal Patel, he'll have to take a trip down the lane. Won't do it this time. He's only just found out about it. He'll try and work it out so it's the most optimal for him to manage.
Yeah, and that's going to be unfortunate for him, but the stewards have found him guilty of that incident. He'll have to take that really slow drive in towards the pit lane there. We already saw in practice and in qualifying how long that pit lane does go on for, because it rejoins you on the exit of turn 3, so it has to limit your speed even more. But Whitehead leads then from Atkins in 2nd, Mesaoud in 3rd, Ginchard in 4th, Johnston 5th, Vaffel in 6th, Noller 7th, Muscat in 8th, Patel with a drive-through currently in 9th, Herzl in 10th, Revox in 11th, Vela in 12th, a little Littlewood 13th, Stromae 14th, and Jimmy Holm has recovered. He's now back inside of the points. We've also got a drive-through from Romanek down in P20, awaiting to confirm what that will be for.
Yeah, we certainly are, but I would assume it would have been for that incident that we saw potentially with Maushrek earlier on in the race on the opening lap. So Maushrek down in 18th position in the Ferrari, not having the best of runs of things right now as we take an eye at the likes of Tom Revox here in the Red Face Racing Lexus, trying to make progress here down this very, very long straight. And you can see how you get caught in a train here, where it does get very difficult to make overtakes because every driver now tries to get the same advantage on everyone else, but they're stuck in the same line. So you've got to make sure that someone runs into trouble. Contacts on the back of Patel. That's Herzl there in 10th place, just giving a bump to the driver who needs a drive-through penalty. He is the bottleneck at this stage, as into the pits, I believe, comes through Muscat as well as Patel. So Muscat then also diving down into the pit.
Yeah, that's an unusual one. So whether he's got a little bit of damage on the car, you don't normally see a car pit on their own terms in the Sprint Series. So there must be something not quite right there. Revox right on the back though of Herzl now, putting the pressure on. There's Marcus Littlewood trying to find a move up the inside there. No way through. Revox just about holds on there, but he had to try and stop that car, try and slow it down as much as possible. Littlewood thought about a move again. You can just see in that rear view mirror how imposing that Bentley actually is as we now make our way on towards the back straight, up towards Kedisha we go, and there is Littlewood once again looking for a move down the inside. We know he's not intimidated by a closing door. He's got the inside line on Revox now. In towards Kedisha we go. He's got the inside line, bit of contact Revox makes there, but Littlewood won't mind about that. He's now up now into 9th place.
Yeah, good move then, and Littlewood starting to recover quite nicely here, but that's another attack back on the inside then by Revox. He's not giving this one up. They're now giving a gap here to Hulsel in 8th place as they start to really motor and start to pretty much fight amongst themselves here. You've got their Vela in 11th position trying to get in, then Stromae, Holm, Erbrich and Maushrek then just miles back in 15th position. But at this stage, they're all fighting here for what is 8th place, and it goes all the way back to 14th. This is what these minor points positions start to get into right now. They've got to be really cautious about the way that they go out there and attack, and we're only just now starting to hit the halfway stage in this race. Vela with a good run then through that that final corner at Misano. Wide in the background goes Stromae. That's going to allow Jimmy Holm the chance in turn 1.
Yeah, and he doesn't need the same question asked twice. Does he get that move done? No, he doesn't. He's still right behind Stromae, but that's just dangling the carrot right in front of Jimmy Holm. You know he's going to take it. Romanek into the pit lane to serve his drive-through penalty that he's been received. Dean Velas holding on to 11th place, but look in the background there. Jan-Niklas Erbrich trying to go up the inside of Jimmy Holm there, but couldn't quite find that move in towards Curva Rio as we now still go side by side through turn 6, and Erbrich here playing the long game. Jimmy Holm did not get a good run because they were running side by side, and Jan-Niklas Erbrich sends his Lexus down the inside, takes the racing line, and now in towards Kedja, gets the move done. Up into 13th he goes.
13th position and doing well. There is still a battle on for 4th and 5th position as well on the road between Guinshaw and Johnston, as that gap seemingly remains at around half a second at the moment. But look at Hosley, he's lost the place then to Littlewood then, who has moved up into 8th place. So Marcus Littlewood absolutely flying here, and Herzl is immediately trying to strike back while the iron's hot. Look how close he can run to the Bentley here as we focus on Revox here through the corner. And now, oh, look at that. How hard do you want to go on the brakes here? Bella's going to dive for the inside in that nimble Audi. Contact there on the exit as they go through. He's still there on the outside, mind you. In fact, he's going around the outside. No, there's contact at the quarter panel, and around he goes.
Oh, that wasn't the best there. I'll definitely go to the stewards for that one. I think he just tried to take the line and Revox was still there. It's going to be a tough one to call that one for sure, but the two of them will be summoned to the stewards, I'm sure, for that one. But Stromae falling all the way down the order. He's into the pit lane now, and I don't think he really had a choice. He's spun around so much, and the way he has to rejoin pretty much sends him straight into the pit lane. But Whitehead still leading then, ahead of Kalaya Atkins. Messaoud is 1.5 seconds back. He's not catching Atkins at the rate he did last time out. In fact, he was 1.1 seconds at one point in this race. Now he's dropped 4/10. Johnston then trying to chase down Ginshaw. This is the battle for 4th place between the the two cars as we now make our way on towards Tramonto corner. You can see there Ginchard defending the inside line. Johnson will try and take a wider entry, try and get a better exit out of Tramonto. Now it's a long way. You're on the accelerator pedal now. Through Caravone will go, as we see, through turn 11, flat out here, even though you're following the car ahead. Now in towards that tricky turns 12 and 13, where you've got to let off the power slightly, start slowing that car down as you head towards Caro here, in towards turn 14. Still, you can see Johnson applying that pressure to Ginchard ahead. On the exit now, make sure you don't spin up those tyres through 15, and then on towards turn 16. Misano, the final corner. Is there a way through for Alex Johnson right now? Ginchard is driving a really good race right now. He's holding on to that 4th place.
Certainly is. He's got 4 seconds back to Max Waffel in 6th position, but at this stage, that's not really the point that matters. In fact, it's now Jack Noller in 6th position. Waffel has lost the place, so Jack Noller on a charge, but Alex Johnson then, which way do you want to look? He opens up the inside. It is defended late by Ginchard, so they are pretty much darting all over the track, trying to make sure they've got everyone covered here in terms of these positions. But the more that they start to dart and cover, a little bit wide on the exit there goes Johnston. He had to get out of the throttle to guard it, and he's got himself through. Now look at Urbrick here. He's up into 11th, but now look at the train that still forms for the top 10. Revux, Urbrick, Holm, Vela, Mauserek, all there up to 14th place. There goes Urbrick then to the inside. Lexus versus Lexus, but Mauserek has a drive-through penalty on the back of this train. He is now going to have to take a trip into the pits. Too wide, too deep, and bang into the back there. That's Vela who turns around Revux.
Yeah, not great at all there. I think he flashes in lights to apologise, but I think it's going to be a bit underhanded, that apology. A penalty will definitely be coming his way for that one. Yeah, as you said, Mauserek picking up a drive-through penalty. That was for causing an avoidable incident which involved the number 7 of Mangione. So that's why Mauserek has the drive-through penalty. The stewards have found him at fault for the incident, so he'll have to take the trip down the pit lane. And that P12 right now will be handed to Vela, although I'm not sure for how much longer, what the stewards will make of that in-turn.
Indeed. So Dean Vela then is impending investigation by the stewards. Here's your race leader right now, Luke Whitehead, 1:32.5, his fastest lap in the race so far. He's 3.7 seconds clear of Kalai Atkins. You can see him there just in the back of shot. And that is the way that Luke Whitehead has been running here today at Misano. He's been absolutely loving things right now. Kalai Atkins there in the Onyx car is in 2nd. And then 3rd position is the championship leader, Redwan Messaoud, who will be really losing some time with this sort of performance here. Only position number 3, and it's the small points that need to be reminded about here. Redwan Messaoud in 3rd. Yes, it still means here at this stage, Kieran, that he's on the podium for every race so far this season, but you are still effectively matriculating points away.
I mean, to be honest with you, the 4 times we've spoken to him before, he is a race winner, and I don't think he'll accept anything less than that. So he'll be a bit frustrated. He's not closing in to Kalai Atkins either as well. He's now extended that gap as Atkins to 2.7 seconds, so it's a bit of a frustrating day. Meanwhile, we've got a battle here between Dean Vela and Jan Nicholas Urbrick ahead of us. Vela once again trying a move down the inside in towards Tramonto, and Jimmy Holm, who was involved in an incident at turns 1, 2 and 3, has now found himself onto the back of this battle for 10th place. You can see Urbrick moving over to the left-hand side of your screen, to the right-hand side up the track as we now make our way onwards through Cavone, in through turn 11, the 3 of them running in line of stern through turns 12 and 13. Is there a way through for Holm? We know he's quick round here. He finished 4th in the last race, all the way down in 12th right now, so we know he's got the pace, but can he find these moves past?
Can he indeed? He's got 2 laps to find it. Gets right up tucked underneath here. There's Jimmy Holm as he looks to go through. Reminds me of a quote this race right now. You show me a good loser, I'll show you a loser. But at this stage, I'm sure everyone's going to be chomping at the bit trying to improve. And that's the way that these racers all want to go out there and try and find as much time as possible. Holm again trying to look not quite there still. Pretty much playing the patience game and the waiting game, and it's just not happening right now because Urbrick, of course, is mirrored full of Vela, who is under investigation, and gives him a tap and now puts himself under more investigation with that push to pass there. So Vela, I think, is going to be taking maybe 60 seconds worth of penalty potentially, and in fact he'll redress the position back again, and this will allow Jimmy Holm the chance then to dive through on the inside. Position made.
Yeah, the stewards will see that as well, that he receded the position as well. So he'll move back down the order. But you can see that they're now going to run side by side, Dean Vella and Jimmy Holm on the exit now of Kurtcha. Onwards now we run towards turn 9 and then in towards Tramonto now. Jimmy Holm just defending that inside line. He's now got Jan-Niklas Erbrich ahead of him to try and make a move for 10th place. But at the moment, Dean Vella looks like he's got the pace. He hasn't really been in the points this season so far, but he's not making a case for himself so far. But there we can see Guinchard and Johnston then as we head into the final 60 seconds of this race. Less than that now to go as Guinchard has to hold on for P4 here. On board with Alex Johnston as we make our way through the Variante del Parco.
It's the final lap of the race then, and Alex Johnston wants that place fourth. You can see there just in front of them, Redouane Messaoud, who has been really struggling there late on, and it's a big defence again then by Guinchard into turn 4 out on tracks. From there as a drive-through penalty. I think that's going to be turned into 30 seconds of time penalty at the end. But Johnston here has been really harassing, and look at that gap to Redouane Messaoud. It was up at 4 seconds, and that's down to just 2. Zvishal Patel's also in a scrap right now with Malsharek, and Patel has gone through into 18th position for no points. In comes Malsharek then for another pit stop as he goes through. Back though to that battle 4th and 5th. The timer does expire, hopefully on this race it does, but I want to see how that battle goes on because it looks like Redouane here is really dropping back. There is your race leader here in the form of Luke Whitehead. He is absolutely fantastic here today. He has proven why he was signed up to the Ashtra Racing team, and he has just looked fantastic once again. We got a championship on our hands. It's not going to be plain sailing from now to the end. Through Misano, and now on to Zolder we go. Luke Whitehead is going to give his teammate a challenge. He takes the double here at Misano. It's Kalai Atkins to take a very well-deserved second, and it was pretty much preserved from Redouane Messaoud, who picks up 3rd ahead of Guinchard and Johnston.
Yeah, Guinchard just about holding on there as Johnson flashes that one. That was great battling between the two of them. Jack Nollett across the line in 6th place. Max Vaffel will try and hold off Marcus Littlewood across the line for P7. Littlewood himself finishes in 8th place. Then Herzl will cross the line any moment now to claim 9th place there. Good result for Herzl then as he gets himself well in towards the points there. Jan-Niklas Erbrich and Jimmy Holm will be battling for 10th place across the line. It is Erbrich who grabs 10th place. Jimmy Holm in 11th place. We'll see soon. Revox, Rizzo and Yassianus, a name we haven't really mentioned in this race so far, currently running in 15th place. But there is Dean Vella in 12th place, Jimmy Holm 11th, Revox 13th, Rizzo in 14th, and Rassar rounding off the final point scoring position. So something changed, something happened on that final lap.
On the final sector, you could say as well. So in the final couple corners, that is Rainer Rassar in the McLaren jumping up to P15 come the end of the race. But it is smiles all round for Luke Whitehead, who's put 10 laps worth of racing in, or 20 laps we could say, and has led 20 laps absolutely faultlessly here today and has no reason to be upset with the way that he has commanded and walked away from a number of drivers time and time again when it has come to Misano. We will, in the next couple of moments, be looking towards post-race interviews, of course, and the like. But, Kieran, we have to talk about the fact that we now have a championship on our hands because Redouane Messaoud, once again, doesn't get himself the best start, got himself a little bit flummoxed not being on the pole position, and then found himself in a bit of a race where he couldn't do anything about anything.
Yeah, and I do wonder how much that relates to the side of the track he starts on. Of course, he started on pole position for, the last 4 races before tonight. 2 races now, of course, he starts in that 2nd place position, and that's obviously normally not on the racing line, or it's not in that prime position to take advantage of a good start. So it just looked like both times he just didn't get turn 1 quite right, and it just cost him twice in that race. He ran onto the runoff, and unfortunately for him, he just couldn't recover that second time around.
No, he certainly couldn't. But what we can do now for you, ladies and gentlemen, is bring Luke Whitehead into the conversation. Back-to-back race wins here today at Misano. Luke, I think the most important thing for you is that is a momentum setter heading towards Zolder.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to apologise for my misconduct on Tuesday in my interviews. It was completely unnecessary and was just, wasn't really fair on me to be as angry and as sort of rude as I was to the commentators, etc. So huge apologies to everyone at WPR Racing for that. But yeah, on to today. I'm absolutely over the moon to steal some momentum back from Red One, because I was sort of worried that he was going to go and win every race. That was a massive worry. But yeah, just testing and everything this week just went flawlessly. Didn't really have any issues. The pace was good in the wet and in the dry, so I wasn't really worried on that front. But yeah, so happy. Couldn't have asked for a better race.
Couldn't ask for a better race, or couldn't have asked for some better races. You also got a little bit of help out there today in terms of clawing back some points in the championship. You had the likes, of course, of Kalai Atkins there with you, who was very much able to just put a little bit of a wedge between yourself and your teammate. Was it a case during the week that Misano was just a track that suits your flow, suits your style, and seeing how many Ferraris were up there over the top of qualifying, is it one where you feel like that was one that you were targeting near the start of the season?
Well, it certainly seems that it suited me. I mean, if anything, I was looking at this track with a little bit of a lack of confidence, if anything. It was one of the tracks that I've done almost no testing on prior to this, race meeting. But yeah, just got the setup dialed in really quickly, got used to the Ferrari, worked with Red One to get the setup absolutely perfect, and we just flew. Really happy with how the car's handled. So yeah, I'm absolutely ecstatic. Perfect.
Well, with every reason to be as well. But Luke, let's turn our attention to next week, and let's turn it over towards Zolder, because Zolder is a track which has a lot of similarities here to this Misano circuit. Has a lot of sections where you've got many opportunities to go out there to attack and to really ride a circuit the same way. So are you feeling like this is just going to be another case of evolution of setup, evolution of car, and we're in the same sort of road again? And how is this going to play out in terms of your ideals of how you attack the final 4 rounds of the championship?
I mean, to be honest, this momentum's come at the perfect time. I've got half of what Red One's points count coming into this round, so I really needed to gather some momentum. And Zolder, as I said, is a track that I'm also very fond of. I did some testing for the casual race previously, a couple of weeks ago, and my pace was very strong. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to have as much success next week as I did this week, and just use the momentum that I've got to hopefully swing the championship in my favour towards the end. I'm very excited.
Well, we can definitely tell here, Luke, but the floor is yours. Shout out sponsors, anyone you'd like to thank.
So I'd like to thank Demon Tweaks and Q Controls as I did last week. Their help with basically my wheel situation, had a few problems with it. Their help has been absolutely flawless. WPR Sports as well for their pedals, absolutely amazing. Got them back on Tuesday, and I've been going from strength to strength since then. I'm over the moon with it. Massive thank you to my manager Robert Watherston. He's a massive help and has helped me decide which path to take along the way, which is really helpful. And finally, since my dad asked for it, thanks to him and thanks to my mum as well, just for supporting me and always helping me. Funny enough, Dad actually helped me with some of the setup this week. So yeah, without him, I don't think I'd have won by so much. So yeah.
Well, it certainly worked out for you here today. Luke Whitehead picks up the race victory overall. Kieran, who have you found alongside you?
Well, I found Carly Atkins, who's down here now. Carly, P3 in the first race, P2 in the second race. I think I'd call that a good day. How did you feel about that one?
Yeah, it was a really good race. I'd like to congratulate Luke Whitehead on an amazing drive, and Messaid for ended up P2 overall. But yeah, I had good pace in the race. Not the best in quali, but we'll sort that out for Zolder. So a track I haven't been to, but it was really good. Like to say big thanks to Onyx for sorting out the setup. It was really good. I had really good at the end pace. Managed to pull away from Messaid at the end in the second one. The first one, I got a really good start. I got a good start on both of them, but just didn't expect Messaid to struggle for race pace near the end. So sorted that out for the second race and managed to finish P2.
And as well, you're making a familiar name for yourself on the podium. I mean, you got your first podium in race 2 in Kailami, and you've got both podiums here today in both races. I mean, that must be fantastic for you. You're really starting to build momentum now.
Yeah, I'm really happy to the boys in Onyx Esports for getting me up here, and I had very good wet and dry pace, so whether it rained or not, I would have still had the pace. So really good day today.
Yeah, sounds it. And I did see there was some talk of rain. Do you know what? I'm quite glad it staved off because it did give us a good battle there for that last podium position. But your attention now focuses towards Zolder. I mean, you've made 2 out of 2 podiums here in Misano. What can we expect from you at Zolder?
Again, to try and beat the H3 guys. I've beaten one of them, so just need to beat one more and just continue with the race pace and improve a bit of quality, but we'll get there for Zolder.
Well, thank you, Carly. And then the floor is yours for any shout-out sponsors, anyone else you'd like to mention.
Right, so I'd like to say a massive thanks to Onyx Esports for the amazing setups, all the help they do for me, Ashton Cox from there. I'd like to say a massive thanks to Fanatec CSL Elite. The wheel was amazing, I've had no issues. I'd also like to say a massive thanks to my dad for obviously getting this sim and doing everything for me, helping me out, and my mum for supporting me.
Well, that's fantastic, Carly. Thank you for joining us. And Jake, I believe you're down there with one Red One Messaoud.
I have found the championship leader, and Red One, I would say that today for you was about using the points you had in the back pocket. You had 98 points coming into this one. You've got a bit less, but second and third position, is that maybe what you were looking for today?
Hello guys. I'm happy to my score. It's a good race for first race. Good race for me. Second race, good race for me. I'm third in podium. On the pace of Luke Whitehead and Atkins was amazing. I'm not driving my Porsche, so I drive Ferraris Binotto. So it's a real life.
Well, of course, you're not in the patented Porsche, but what you can say, though, is that you've given yourself now maybe a little bit of room. But do you worry about maybe the fact that that gap is closing to your teammate and that now maybe momentum goes over to Luke when you go to Zolder next week?
Yes, my teammate was faster than me. It's a young alien, so I must try hard to Zolder for keep pole position on take win, perhaps.
Well, you've only got 4 races left, Red One. You started out with 4 race victories to start the season. You were incredibly happy after amassing a huge gap like that. But now you've got to put the focus down. It's almost like this was the moment where, you know, you're in that position where, oh, yes, this is a championship. I'm not just going to walk through to the title with 10 wins. Are you now looking at this as a case of maybe just try to develop on what you're looking at then for Zolder, or is this a case of once more maybe a completely different change?
For Zolder, it's a difficult track, so the lucky is coming out in Zolder.
Well, we'll hopefully get to see you up at the very top. But before we let you go, Red One, second and third here today, shout out sponsors, anyone you'd like to thank.
I have my team H3 Racing. Thank you on my team, and I have a channel YouTube in my nickname is Redwan Messaoud in YouTube. Now, so it's okay.
No worries. Red One Messaoud then picking up second and third, retains the championship lead heading to Zolder, but that is in 1 week's time, ladies and gentlemen, with World Pro Racing. If you want to catch in on all of the action that doesn't happen just here with this Sprint Championship, but with everything that goes on with the likes of Gran Turismo Sport, and sometimes we get some R-Factor 2 action on the board as well, you can catch out all the videos on demand on YouTube at World Pro Racing. Of course, you can like, share, and subscribe with World Pro Racing on YouTube, on Facebook Live, and on Twitch Gaming as well. On top of that, we have been on ESTV, the Esports Television Network. We've been on motorsport.tv and TVM Sport as well. We are also affiliated with The Race, and hopefully we will be back with round 4 of the championship from Zolder over on there as well. A massive thanks has to go to the huge amount of people who've been working behind the scenes for not just the pro division, but the amateur division as well, who have been trying to make sure that everything has been smoothly sailing here in terms of the work that's been done. Adrian Fagayo, George Muscat, Adrian Mersheka, and of course, Nathan Misud as well has been in on the mix as well. Of course, that's been one Mr. Kieran McGinley. And of course, we've had Justin Mifsud on the cameras. My name's been Jake Sperry, and Luke Whitehead decides it's now time for a championship battle. The gap does close. Now the battle lines start to get drawn. Zolder comes up then in a week's time. And when you fight through the forest, through the Tuleman complex, all the way through some legendary drivers' corners like Jackie Ix and Jochen Rindt, this is going to be all about momentum. Who can take that charge to the second half of the season? There's only 4 rounds, but that's 4 opportunities to score maximum points. We'll see you 1 week from now when we head ourselves over to Belgium.
This stream is powered by Melita, using Melita Gigapower Internet. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
For only €5 a month, experience every high-definition moment on your TV, tablet, phone or PC. Great teams, great moments, and so much more. TSN from Melita is your ticket to stay in the game. Visit melita.com/sports.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
This is so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
Wish your Wi-Fi network would just work in any room? Our new Stellar Wi-Fi is AI assisted to give you the smoothest, fastest possible Wi-Fi throughout your home. Stellar Wi-Fi assisted by AI, exclusive to Melita. Find out more in-store or online.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.